If you're a man watching this right now, I need you to pay attention, because what I'm about to tell you is something most men never figure out until it's too late. You think women are simple? You think that if she likes you, she'll just say it or she'll make it painfully obvious? Wrong. Some of the most powerful signs of attraction are the ones that never leave her lips. They're hidden, subtle, almost invisible, unless you know exactly where to look. And if you don't know how to read them, you're going to misinterpret her silence, her contradictions, her mixed signals, and you'll either miss your chance, or worse, you'll give away your power trying to chase her approval. That ends today. I want you to walk away from this video not only knowing the hidden signs a woman likes you but doesn't show it, but also knowing how to carry yourself like a man who doesn't need to beg for attention. Because that's the difference between the men women respect and the ones they string along. Now, before we get into this, make sure you subscribe, because the truth I'm about to share with you isn't the watered-down relationship advice you're used to hearing. This is raw, it's real, and it's designed to make you stronger, not weaker. And I'll warn you now, some of what you'll hear might challenge everything you thought you knew about attraction. But that's the point. Keep an open mind, because this could change how you deal with women forever. So let's break this down. There are 7 powerful signs, but we're going deep, because each of these reveals not only something about her, but also something about you as a man. If you understand them, you'll stop being confused by her behavior and start owning your presence in her life. Let's start with the first. 1. The contradictions of attraction. Here's something most men don't understand. Attraction doesn't always look clean and consistent. In fact, one of the most common signs that a woman likes you, but isn't showing it directly, is contradiction. One moment she's warm, the next she's distant. One day she laughs at all your jokes, the next she seems almost cold. Most men see this as a rejection. They think, she's not interested, I'll back off. But here's the truth. Those contradictions are often her way of managing her own emotions. She likes you. She feels drawn to you, but she doesn't want to appear vulnerable. She doesn't want to risk rejection herself. So what does she do? She covers it up with hot and cold behavior. She contradicts herself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." But notice, people rarely live by that, especially when it comes to love and attraction. Women will say one thing but feel another. Their actions may not always align with their words. This doesn't make them deceptive, it makes them human. And if you, as a man, expect perfect consistency, you're going to miss what's really happening beneath the surface. Think about it. When she pulls away after being warm with you, is she truly disinterested? Or is she testing if your confidence depends on her mood? That's the real question. A woman who secretly likes you might create distance, not because she doesn't care, but because she wants to see if you'll hold your frame. Will you panic when she goes cold? Will you chase her when she withdraws? Or will you remain centered, calm, unbothered? That's the difference between a man she respects and a man she controls. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." You imagine her contradictions mean rejection, when in reality, they may mean attraction. She doesn't know how to manage. The suffering comes not from her silence, but from your misinterpretation of it.
Here's where I want to challenge you. Why do you expect attraction to be straightforward? Think about your own contradictions. Haven't you ever liked a woman but pulled back because you didn't want to appear too eager? Haven't you ever felt drawn to her but then acted distant out of pride or fear? If you can admit that in yourself, then why would you assume women are any different? The contradictions don't mean absence of attraction. They often mean the opposite. So the next time you notice a woman being hot and cold, don't immediately assume it's rejection. Instead, stay grounded. Stay calm Let her contradictions play out, but don't let them dictate your behavior. Because if you can remain steady when she is inconsistent, you're already proving something more powerful than words. You're a man who can handle uncertainty. And that's magnetic.
2. Her body speaks louder than her words. Let me tell you something brutally honest. A woman's mouth can lie, but her body almost never does. She might deny liking you. She might say, "Oh, we're just friends," but watch her body when you're around. Does she lean in when you talk? Do her eyes linger on you longer than they should? Does she find excuses to touch her hair, her face, or even adjust her clothes when you walk by? These are not accidents. These are her body betraying her words. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." When it comes to women, they often do the opposite. They say they don't care, but their body reveals the truth. It's almost like two different languages, verbal and physical. The verbal language is guarded, cautious, controlled. But the physical language is primal, instinctive, harder to fake. If you want to know whether she likes you, you have to learn how to read the body over the words. But here's where most men fail. They either don't notice the signals, or they overanalyze them. They think every glance, every movement, every smile is a declaration of love. It's not. You need to step back and look at the bigger picture. Is her body language consistently different around you than around other men? Because if it is, that's a sign. A woman who likes you but isn't showing it directly will let her body slip up in ways her words never will. She may cross her legs toward you, subtly mirror your movements, or position herself closer to you in group settings without even realizing it. That's her subconscious talking. And here's a deeper truth. Attraction isn't only about what her body does. It's also about how your body responds. Are you even present enough in yourself to notice her cues without becoming desperate for them? A man who needs validation will cling to every little sign, turning it into proof that she's interested. But a man who is confident simply notices, acknowledges, and remains grounded. He sees the signs, but he doesn't need them. And that difference is everything. Here's a question for you. If tomorrow every woman you knew suddenly went silent, no compliments, no signals, no validation, would you still walk with the same confidence? Would you still carry yourself with strength? Or does your confidence depend on how women respond to you? That's the test. Because the man who can walk tall without any external validation is the man women end up noticing the most. Her body language matters, yes. But don't become a slave to it. Learn to read it, acknowledge it, and then continue being the man you already are. Because when you no longer need her body to confirm what you already know about yourself, you flip the dynamic. You stop being the one seeking clues and become the one she's seeking to impress. 3. The subtle tests of attention. Here's something men rarely recognize. When a woman likes you but doesn't want to show it outright, she will test you. Not in some big, obvious way, but through subtle little games that almost feel insignificant, until you realize what's really happening. She'll throw out comments designed to see if you notice her. She'll change something about her appearance, waiting to see if you pick up on it. She'll mention another man casually, just to watch your reaction. And here's the part you need to understand. These aren't random behaviors. They're intentional ways of measuring how much of your attention she actually has. Seneca once said, "We are always complaining that our days are few and acting as though there would be no end of them." The same principle applies to attention. Your attention is your most precious resource. Where you place it defines what matters to you. Women know this instinctively. That's why they test it. If she can capture your attention without directly asking for it, she feels her value. But if you hand it over too easily, she loses respect. Think about it. When she casually asks, Did you notice anything different? And you scramble to guess. You're playing her game. When she talks about some other guy and you immediately tense up, you're showing your insecurity. But if you stay calm, grounded, observant without being desperate, you flip the script. You let her know you're not blind, but you're also not going to fall into her trap. Here's the paradox. She wants your attention, but she doesn't want to feel like she owns you. She wants to know you're present enough to notice her without being consumed by her. It's a razor-thin line most men fail to walk. They either ignore her completely, thinking that makes them alpha, or they give her so much attention that they come across as needy. Both extremes kill attraction. The key is balance. Notice her without worshipping her. Acknowledge her changes without making it a big deal. Let her know you see her. But don't let your sense of worth come from her reaction. That's how you pass the subtle tests. Now let me challenge you. How much of your attention is being wasted right now on women who don't even truly value you? What would happen if you took that same energy and invested it into your mission, your discipline, your growth? Epictetus taught that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The same applies to attention. Wealth in masculinity is not about giving attention freely, but in mastering who actually earns it. 4. The power of jealousy and subtle competition. Let's be brutally honest. Women will use jealousy as a tool. And if you've ever found yourself wondering why she suddenly brings up another man, why she casually mentions being out with someone, or why she laughs just a little too much at another guy's joke in front of you, it's not random. It's calculated. A woman who secretly likes you but doesn't want to show it will sometimes provoke subtle competition just to gauge where she stands in your life. Now, don't misunderstand this. She's not trying to humiliate you. She's trying to feel her own value. By seeing how you react to potential competition, she gets a read on your confidence. Do you crumble? Do you get visibly insecure? Start interrogating her or try to compete for her attention? Or do you remain steady, knowing that your worth isn't threatened by anyone else? Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Apply this here. The best response to her jealousy games is not to play them back, but to rise above them. If you start trying to make her jealous in return, you've already lost. You're showing that she controls your emotions. But if you remain calm, unmoved, maybe even amused by the attempt, you're sending a powerful message. I don't compete for attention. I attract it by who I am. Think about it. If she brings up another man and you don't flinch, you're teaching her something about your character. You're teaching her that you operate from abundance, not scarcity. You're teaching her that your masculinity is not fragile. And paradoxically, that makes her more drawn to you. Because deep down, women want a man who isn't swayed by competition. They want to feel like they've earned your focus, not like you're desperate to keep it. Here's a mind-bending question for you. What if every time a woman tried to make you jealous, it wasn't actually about the other man, but about her need to know you're unshaken? What if jealousy isn't a trap to expose you, but an invitation to reveal your strength? When you view it that way, jealousy stops being a threat and becomes an opportunity. An opportunity to demonstrate calmness, confidence, and control. And that's exactly the kind of man women chase, even when they pretend not to. 5. The hidden investment of effort. Here's a truth most men completely overlook. When a woman likes you but isn't showing it openly, she'll start investing in small, hidden ways. She might remember little details about you. Your favorite coffee, the way you like your shirts, something you said weeks ago. She might rearrange her schedule to cross paths with you, or just happen to show up where she knows you'll be. She might even do small favors without calling attention to them. These investments may look subtle, but they're massive signs of hidden interest. Why? Because effort reveals priority. We always make time for what matters to us, no matter how much we claim to be busy. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When a woman invests her time, energy, and thought into you, even in little ways, it's not wasted. It's deliberate. She may never say, "I like you," but her actions scream it. The tragedy is that most men don't notice. They're too focused on chasing verbal validation that they miss the quiet ways she's already showing she cares. They overlook the fact that she went out of her way to sit near them, that she remembered something trivial they once mentioned, that she adjusted her life just to make proximity possible. These are not accidents. They are investments. But here's the catch. If you take those investments for granted, she'll pull them back. If you act entitled, assuming it's her job to cater to you, she'll feel undervalued. The right response is gratitude without dependence. Acknowledge her effort, but don't demand it. Appreciate it, but don't let it define your worth. Because a man who stands strong in his own value while still recognizing the effort of others creates a balance women crave. Now here's something to think about. How much effort are you investing in yourself compared to the effort you expect from her? Are you putting in the hours to become a man of discipline, strength, and clarity? Or are you sitting back, waiting for her to prove her interest while you do nothing to elevate yourself? Remember, her hidden investments are a mirror. The more you invest in yourself, the more she'll be drawn to invest in you. And if you're blind to her effort, you're blind to her attraction. 6. The silence that speaks volumes. Let me tell you something men often misunderstand. Silence is not always rejection. In fact, sometimes silence is the loudest sign that she's interested but holding back. She doesn't text first. She doesn't initiate long conversations. She might even act like she's distant. But watch what happens when you do engage her. Suddenly, she responds quickly. She gives detailed answers. She invests in the conversation once you've opened the door. That's not disinterest. That's fear, pride, or self-protection disguising itself as quietness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If her thoughts are on you, her silence isn't empty. It's filled with unspoken energy. You have to understand that many women are afraid of being judged as too eager, too desperate, or too forward. Society often tells them that if they chase, they lose value. So instead, they hold back. They wait. They let the silence do the speaking. The question is, can you handle it? Can you sit in that silence without spiraling into self-doubt? Can you recognize that her lack of words doesn't always equal a lack of feeling? Most men can't. They panic. They assume she's not interested, and they either chase harder or disappear completely. Both are weak responses. The strong response is patience. The strong response is to let her silence exist without needing to fill it with endless validation seeking. Think about it. When she goes quiet, is she truly gone? Or is she waiting to see how much of your power depends on her voice? If you can remain centered, even when she doesn't constantly reassure you, you're teaching her something about yourself. You're teaching her that your world doesn't crumble in the absence of her attention. And paradoxically, that draws her closer. Here's my challenge to you. What does her silence trigger in you? Insecurity, doubt, anger, or self-control? Because how you respond to silence says more about your masculinity than any words ever could. 7. Consistency in the shadows. The last sign is one most men completely miss: quiet consistency. A woman who likes you but isn't showing it openly will still find ways to stay in your orbit. She might not declare her feelings, she might not constantly reach out, but she will always be there, lingering in the background, keeping some form of connection alive. Maybe she watches your stories online. Maybe she keeps bringing up your name in conversations. Maybe she finds reasons to stay involved in your life, even when it would be easier to walk away. That's consistency in the shadows. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Apply this here. A woman may look foolish to herself for keeping tabs on you, for staying present without admitting why. But she does it because her attraction won't let her fully walk away. And that's powerful. Now, here's where most men ruin it. They either ignore this consistency completely, dismissing it as meaningless, or they chase it desperately, demanding that she bring her interest into the light. Both are mistakes. The truth is, consistency is the foundation of attraction. It's her way of keeping the door open. If she truly didn't care, she'd vanish. But the fact that she lingers, that she stays connected, even in small hidden ways, is proof of something real. The key is to meet that consistency with your own strength. You don't have to call it out. You don't have to push it into the open. Just recognize it for what it is, a sign that she values your presence more than she's willing to admit. And then keep living your life with purpose, mission, and discipline. Because here's the paradox. The more you focus on your path, the more her hidden consistency turns into open pursuit. She starts realizing that if she doesn't step forward, she risks losing you. So here's the question. Are you the kind of man who can recognize quiet consistency without becoming dependent on it? Or do you need everything spelled out, validated, and confirmed before you believe it? Because if you can trust the subtle signs without demanding them, you step into a different league of masculinity. You stop begging for clarity and start commanding respect. If you've been paying attention, you've just learned the 7 hidden signs a woman likes you but isn't showing it. Contradictions, body language, subtle tests, jealousy, hidden effort, silence, and quiet consistency. All of them reveal more than words ever could. But here's the bigger truth. This isn't just about women. It's about you. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase, beg, or demand proof of interest. It's about carrying yourself with such strength and self-respect that you can read the signs without being ruled by them. And that's the difference between men who lose themselves in relationships and men who lead them. So here's my final piece of advice. Stop looking for obvious validation. Pay attention to the subtle signs, but above all, build yourself into the man who doesn't need them. Because when you become that man, women don't just like you in secret, they respect you in the open. Make sure you subscribe, because we're just getting started. And if you thought this video gave you perspective, wait until you see what's coming next.